Yes, yes, yes. What is up? What is up, MCR family? It's a free edition of Trending Now. Let's get some air horns for that, right, Foo? Yeah, it's a non-Patreon exclusive edition, guys. Get hyped, get hyped. But obviously, it is our Game of Thrones final show, our final show of their final show, the Iron Throne episode. Definitely leaving Game of Thrones in a bad way in a lot of people's minds, right, Foo? Probably the most controversial episode in the most controversial season, arguably in television history. Let's get into it. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Obviously, Matt Hunter, MCR platforms. Fugatti, MCR platforms as well. We're going to be discussing all things Game of Thrones, wrapping up not only this episode, but really the entire series in a way. This is it. The show's over. Obviously, there's going to be spin-offs and prequels. We know that. But the show that we know it, in the paradigm that we had, is over. It's time of reflection, and I think I'm of two minds before we get into maybe the nitty-gritty of the episode, the final episode itself. I think overall, Game of Thrones is still one of the best shows of all time. It still achieved something that no other show in history has. And honestly, most movies haven't in terms of the fantasy, sort of genre. Game of Thrones is sort of on a pedestal of itself in a lot of ways, even with the disastrous final season and even the arguably bad season 6 and 5. Seasons 1 through 4 are still the best seasons, arguably, in all of television history. And I think, regardless of how it ended, it doesn't take away, the Mountain versus Oberyn Martell and that scene. It doesn't take away from Ned Stark. It doesn't take away from the Red Wedding. It doesn't take away from certain scenes, certain moments in TV history that are iconic forever. And now Game of Thrones also has a level of iconic history that is also pretty bad. But Fu, how you doing, man? Game of Thrones is over. How you dealing with it, man?
I think like most fans, I was just like, let's get this over with. Like season 7 wasn't bad. I don't know. I need to rewatch it. A lot of people said it was bad. I didn't mind it. I don't feel like when it was going on, at least.
Not a lot happened.
Yeah.
And also, you have that whole fucking storyline of we gotta go capture a zombie to go show Cersei.
Oh yeah,
and that was
get a dragon killed, and oh my god, yeah,
that was kind of stupid.
Yeah. But season 8, it was like, okay, let's just get through to this first big battle, and then it'll pick up. And then the battle was really just like one episode, and then the Night King dies. And then you're like, okay, well, the real battle is Cersei. And then it never felt like we really got that actual climax you wanted from the show.
No.
It's like,
No.
So I'm not hating on it. I made peace with, like, once we knew that, because I think we all knew going into the last episode that Jon was going to kill her. Like, or she was going to die, most likely Jon, or maybe Arya would kill her. So I'd already made peace with, here's where the writers are. They've painted themselves into this corner.
And let's be honest,
we're going to have to deal with it.
Let's be honest, Fu. We came out of season 5, The Bells, actually pretty optimistic, I would say, both me and you. More so than a large percentage of Game of Thrones fan base. I think we both bought the Dany turn in terms of hero to villain. Even I would say the direction of the episode, even them sort of subverting the big battle and having Drogon just fuck up the entire city. I think that works in and of itself, right? But then you connect it with this final episode, and it doesn't work. Like,
no.
they did nothing in this entire episode. I was listening to Fat Man Beyond with Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin. Shout out to Kevin Smith. He has this new movie coming out. Always been a huge Kevin Smith fan.
Yeah.
And, he like put it exactly how I thought. Like, look, this is the last few episodes. I was thinking of it as you have 6 hours left of the show. You have 1 hour left of the show. He was always thinking of it in that context, and so was I. And 20 minutes of this episode was spent of Tyrion walking around King's Landing. Like they wasted so much time. And I felt like, obviously, we can get into individual parts of this episode. We will. But an overall sort of issue I had with the Benioff and Weiss storytelling here is that they knew the plot points. They had zero idea how to get to those plot points. And zero idea how to make those plot points feel something to the fans. There's just a lack of feeling, lack of emotion, lack of spirit in some of these scenes in overall moments. Even the Battle of Winterfell scene lacks something. This whole season lacked something. And on top of that, the plot points we had were completely rushed too, or they dragged on and then they had to rush in one scene to get to a plot point, like in this episode. And it makes me really concerned, different topic for a different show, but of the Benioff and Weiss Star Wars trilogy.
Oh,
deeply
dude.
concerned.
Everyone should be concerned.
Whoa. Depending what source material they try to adapt from, I am really concerned about what those two guys can do as storytellers.
As long as they have something to pull from, I think they'll be fine. If they are at all a creative, like in terms of the writing of the Star Wars trilogy they're gonna do, we're fucked.
But
they're not good at that part.
But it's even more so than that, because in theory, they didn't have to create the plot points of the last couple seasons, right? In theory, George R. R. Martin gave that to them.
That's what I think.
They were not competent enough to write the connective tissue between those plot points. They needed someone else's dialogue, someone else's storytelling, someone else's character building and character development to draw from in order to connect to those plot points. Because again, I would say even early seasons of Game of Thrones, the plot points were always kind of irrelevant, to be honest. Even the Red Wedding season, I forget what season that is exactly off the top of my head, but that entire season, it's all about them trying to get across the fucking bridge.
Season 3, episode 9, right?
But the entire season, though, is Robb and that army trying to get across a fucking bridge. That is it.
Yeah.
They
stay
basically in one location for an entire season. So the plot point didn't matter. It was the character development. It was the dialogue between Robb and his wife, and so much happening. The political intrigue between trying to get across that fucking bridge.
Also, I think my point might be, and I'll see if you agree with this, as characters died off or became less relevant, and they had to really do a lot with less characters, or all of the characters being in one place, where they couldn't just go, oh, here's a few minutes in King's Landing, here's a few minutes in Dorne. Then they had to really have that connective tissue that was important for you to believe those things. I feel like as it went on, they lost the ability to do these little short windows into everything, and then you just kind of piece everything together yourself.
No,
that's how I always felt.
push back on that slightly, because remember, we also got episodes remember the episode with the Hound where we found out he was alive again, right? Yeah. And the episode was solely on him and that little tiny village with Ian McShane, right? The really great actor, the Scottish actor.
I love that scene. That whole episode.
That whole episode is nothing, and there's nothing that. I mean, obviously, there's a lot that happens in the last 5 minutes of the episode, but that entire episode's in one little tiny 4-hut village in the middle of nowhere where they're building some wooden shrine. There is nothing in the episode, but that's a great episode, right? So I push back on that slightly. I think they have done that in the past really well. But again, they had something to pull from in terms of dialogue. And I also would say they seemingly didn't care about the season, especially with the context that we now have that HBO wanted the full 10-episode arc. and they were
Yep.
okay with making more seasons. Think about that, guys. For season 7 and 8, when we got abbreviated seasons, that was a Benioff and Weiss decision, not HBO. I think that is extremely telling that they have basically in the meantime been negotiating with Star Wars and Disney for this big trilogy, which is going to make them a lot of money. And in the meantime, they have cut corners in every way, in literal, tangible ways. They've cut corners with Game of Thrones. So it just sucks, man. It really does.
I just don't understand that because, like, I had heard other podcasters say that they were the reason for the shortened seasons
Mhm.
because they were, I guess, fatigued of this series. They didn't want to do it, you know? And in my mind, it's like, that's fine. Why didn't they pick, like, if they wanted to only do 6, you pick the 6 you want to do and then bring people in to do the other 4. Have guest people.
Well,
Like,
they didn't write every episode of every season. There's tons of other episodes where they write, they have other writers come in and they
Yeah.
just produce it. So it's just a bullshit excuse. They were done. I think it's been near a decade for them, which I understand. Like I get it. You've been working on a job for a decade. You got the next big thing literally lined up, and it is a arguably bigger thing, right? Like Star Wars is arguably
it is the biggest. Star Wars and Ghostbusters. That's the way it works. Like, so no, for real. Seriously, like,
what? Where did
no. If
Ghostbusters come
you
in?
think about it in terms of money and the trademarks, like in the gaming industry, right?
So MCU, Marvel,
No. But if you're gonna go, if you want a
Batman.
gaming, right? Just listen to me.
I'm trying.
The 2 hardest things to get your hands on are Ghostbusters and Star Wars. Like, there's a lot of money in each of those franchises. So like those 2 are like iconic in a way that now Marvel obviously because of all of the trilogy there, but Star Wars and Ghostbusters have always notoriously been extremely hard to get to be a writer for, develop games for, or do anything like that.
Yeah,
for,
but that's not
right?
because Ghostbusters is fucking gigantic. I can't believe we're going on this tangent
It's
here.
a lot of money.
No, it's not because it's the owner of that intellectual property is very selective, let's say, to be
Yes.
PC, with him licensing out the content.
Yes.
George Lucas wasn't that way during all of Star Wars' run with him. They licensed out everything. That was the greatest run of Star Wars video game history. What are you talking about? Secondly, I would say no. Ghostbusters has 3 movies in existence, and only one was successful. No, I can't believe you mentioned
Right.
Ghostbusters.
You said only one Ghostbuster movie was successful
and
or good. Yeah.
successful,
I guess,
successful,
yeah. Okay.
successful.
Money making.
Yeah, I would argue number 2 is a decent movie.
I think they're all decent movies.
I'll be honest, I never saw the remake. Not because of like some.
I never saw the remake.
I never saw the remake either. I just had no desire to.
It has nothing to do with it being women.
No, it just I that was one IP that like I
fucking hate remakes.
I did not need unless it was the original team. I was all on board when it was first heard about and talked about with some of the original team again. But anyways, digressing from that, no, Ghostbusters is not number 2. I mean, Lord of the Rings and Tolkien universe is definitely at least ahead of it. Superman, I would assume, is ahead of it. Batman, anything DC and Marvel. Yeah, you're tripping, Foo. I can't believe you said that. I know you're trying to look up something quickly right now.
I am. I am. Well,
I know,
yeah, I am.
I know that look. Like, okay, I'm Googling really fast with my thumb, trying to figure out if I'm right. I can't believe you said that.
It's not super important anyways.
It's
All I
not
meant
at all,
was
but
those guys are going to make massive money off of that, and they basically just fucked all of the Game of Thrones people.
Yes, and I can't wait to clip the part out of this show of you saying that, Star Wars and then Ghostbusters.
I know gaming insiders who really worked hard to try to get a Ghostbusters game, and it's like one of the harder
But that's because
things.
the one real, because we have multiple Ghostbusters games throughout like the last 40 years of gaming history, right? But like the one that came out, I think it was for the last gen for PS3 and Xbox 360. That one, fantastic.
Yeah, those are the guys I know.
That's a great game. But that's not because it's on the level of Star Wars. I can't believe you said that. That's so good. Oh man.
Oh my god.
Trending now has some good ones from you, Foo. I need to go back into the archive and find all of your like
Do it. Make
wild
a
statements
highlight reel of all my
and make a
wild
highlight reel
statements.
of them because it's
Be
so
like,
good.
name it like Foo's hot takes.
There's been some good hot takes. Star Wars, Ghostbusters. Fuck Lord of the Rings. Fuck MCU. You know, Titanic, gone. Aliens, Terminator. All of those
I
out of
guess
here.
I'm also talking as like almost a 40-year-old man. All of that stuff wasn't big for us, you know?
What do you mean
Like
Aliens wasn't big? Terminator wasn't big? What are you talking about?
not like that. Like
What year were you born?
Ghostbusters in the 80s. 80.
80?
So Ghostbusters was bigger for me and Star Wars was bigger for me as a kid. And
Well, also, those are kid movies.
yeah, for sure. For
Like,
sure.
Aliens isn't a kid movie.
And I
Terminator
honestly
isn't.
have never liked stuff like that.
Whoa. I know this is a huge tangent, ladies and gentlemen. I
I'm
do
a
apologize.
Predator guy, though. I love Predator.
So you telling me
It's
like
trending now. We can talk about whatever
you
we
telling
want.
me Aliens, especially the second one. That's not a replayable blockbuster 24/7.
I liked Predator more than Aliens.
I will tell you this, okay? I have. No, I didn't had. I have present tense, okay? The like full box collector's edition of all the Aliens movies before they did like Prometheus and Covenant and all that. Like I even dig Alien 3. Like I dig that one, even though they fucked up aliens. But I can't believe you don't like those movies. That's sacrilege. Even though I love Predator. Like even Predators with fucking Danny Glover. Great movie. Fantastic with what's his name as the bad guy CIA agent. Weirdo. What's his name?
Oh, Gary Busey.
Gary Busey, man. Gary
Yeah.
Busey. Fantastic. Classic.
No, I understand the Alien movies are good.
And they're all bigger than fucking Ghostbusters.
I need to go back and watch them, honestly. I probably watched them at a different point. I was young when I saw them. And they just freaked me out. Like I didn't like them.
Go watch Aliens. Aliens isn't really a scary movie. No, don't watch it with Harrison.
No.
But Aliens is a 80s action movie. Like I would put Terminator 2 and Aliens as probably the best like 80s 90s action movies of all time.
Yeah.
Clearly. But digressing from that, let's get back to Game of Thrones, which we have to talk about, I guess. Let's at least go over the general story beats of this last episode. Tyrion throws down his Hand of the Queen pendant. He gets thrown in jail. Has a conversation with Jon. Jon goes, can't kill Dany. Sorry. What does he do? Goes and kills Dany. And then Drogon comes in, sees the metal pointy thing in his mom, and then burns down the metal pointy chair called the Iron Throne. Case in point, the name of the episode. Woo. Then there's a big council. Like we flash forward at least a couple weeks, I would assume. Like it seems that there's some period of time. We flash forward. Jon's in prison. Tyrion's in prison. It looks like the Unsullied and Dothraki are holding King's Landing by themselves. It seems.
Yet have no person on the council.
None.
What? None.
And
again, them dealing with the fucking.
But they don't show it. They don't
show.
show it. They need. They should have showed it. But Sansa alludes to this that there's an army outside of King's Landing. That I would assume is everyone else. Like you threw Tyrion and Jon in jail. Fuck that. Dany's gone. We're coming in with all of our armies. That's what it sounds like to me. But you have a meeting with all the significant, or I should say, the surviving significant lords and ladies of the Seven Kingdoms. And Tyrion comes out with Grey Worm, and basically they decide what's going to happen next. And Tyrion gets told to shut up, and then he decides to speak for the entire scene, and decides that Bran.
Grey Worm decides to be a total bitch. He's like, "Shut up! Oh no, I'll just let you talk forever, fool. Like whatever you want to do."
Which is weird. And he makes Bran king, which I gotta say, I fucking hated so much. Hated so much. Sansa says he can't have kids and doesn't have a good dick, so whatever. throws some shade on him and says, "Deuces, I'm gonna be my own independent kingdom." Somehow, like Yara Greyjoy's fine with that. Doesn't say that she wants to be her own kingdom either. Dorne, the random Prince of Dorne that doesn't say a word. He doesn't say a word. Fine, whatever. Bran's king. We have Tyrion now being Hand of the King again. The council being Sam, Bronn, Davos, and Brienne. And we have fucking Sam make literally the Song of Ice and Fire book and give it to Tyrion. Oh my god. And then we have the splitting up of the Stark children in a way. We have Jon getting sent back to the north as a as part of the Night's Watch, but there's no need.
As I sort of predicted.
Yeah, you did, but
in a roundabout way, it happened the way I thought Jon might end. Not the way that I thought it would happen.
How about you
but
put the
what I
mic
thought
in
would
front
happen.
of you? Put the mic in front of
Oh,
you.
sorry.
Thank you.
I'm trying not to move anything because I don't want my internet to cut out. I had said I thought that it would be cool if he ended with the free folk and gave a scenario. And my scenario didn't play out, but he did end with the free folk. So I thought that was pretty dope. In a weird way.
No, okay. We're gonna get to individual parts that we liked and didn't like in a bit. Jon goes off for the free folk to whatever. It gets reunited with Tormund and Ghost. Actually, pets Ghost finally. Thank you. Was it that hard? I feel like they definitely shot that scene that week to make us happy, right? I'm pretty sure that's what they did. What else? Arya decides she's going to sail west and just be an explorer like Christopher Columbus. Whatever. And Sansa's queen. She's queen of the north. Its own independent kingdom. Bran is king of the other 6 kingdoms. The Stark children win, and we have a happy ending with all of our bows tied, I's dotted, T's crossed. The end. I hated it in almost every way. For one, actually, one thing I don't mind Jon killing Dany. I do wish we had at least one scene in between him saying no to Tyrion and them just stabbing her. I would have liked one scene, right? But we didn't. That's fine. Whatever. You spent 20 minutes on Tyrion walking around dead bodies that we already saw get killed. I don't know why retread that ground in your last fucking episode.
We could have done that legwork. We could have.
We did it.
Oh, Tyrion's very mad about her killing all these fucking people.
He was. No, we don't have to. They did
told
that.
her not to.
They already did the work. That's in the Bells episode. You see Tyrion's face. They don't need to do that, or at least they don't need to do it for that long. It could be one walkthrough. That's it. Rush that scene if they want, and give more room for the Dany turn and Jon killing her to breathe, because that was rushed. That was literally in the first 30 minutes of the episode.
People have traveled from Meereen to Westeros in less than 20 minutes in the showtime.
And then the whole Drogon destroying the Iron Throne scene, that just didn't make sense to me. I feel like they're trying to do something cool and symbolic, but it doesn't make sense.
You can't
and again, the meme of Drogon looking at Dany with the sword and going pointy thing, and looking at the throne and pointy thing, and burning it is fucking hilarious. Okay,
because they didn't do the legwork. They didn't put enough time in. If you want me to believe this is a dragon who all of a sudden
is sentient in that way,
superior intellect that goes, oh, I can't kill Jon because he is a Targaryen or something. So this is what she's been fighting for. Let me melt this thing that killed my mom, basically. I don't believe that. You haven't shown me anywhere throughout the series these dragons are smart enough to think like this, At all.
Zero. It was just bad storytelling. And then again, to move over to the scene with Bran and becoming king, like that made no sense.
Why do you think I came all this way?
Oh, I hated that. I
What?
fucking hated that line so much. And
Because
again,
someone
I
had to
I want
push your
I
F
I,
gear?
I want to have the foundation of I still love Game of Thrones. The first 4 seasons are truly amazing. Like you can put up Breaking Bad, Sopranos, Deadwood, any Star Trek Next Generation, Battlestar Galactica, any of like the greatest like dramas, fantasy, sci-fi shows of all time. It's up there. It still is, and it did things that they did not do. However, this was just bad. Like this entire episode was bad, and Bran literally portraying everything he said as a character for seasons now to become king felt like they miswrote him for all this time. Because I think that must be a Martin decision is Bran being king, right? That
God,
can't
I
be.
hope not.
But
I
I'm
mean,
I'm
because
thinking I'm
how
thinking he somehow makes it make sense. I would say like, or he didn't accurately explain to them how he should act as a three-eyed raven. You know what I mean? Maybe they just mischaracterized the acting of that role.
here's
Where
my thing though. Like you're saying, he is every step of the way. When they're like, he's like, I'm not Bran Stark. I'm not of this world. I live mostly in the past. I'm the three-eyed raven. Okay, now you're the fucking king of Westeros? Like, now you're Bran Stark again? Like, what in the fuck is going on here? That doesn't make any sense. Like, everything, there was no reason for him to go through all of the things that he did from all of the seasons for him to then go, oh yeah, I was only the three-eye raven as long as the Night King was alive. Now I'm Bran Stark again, and guess what, bitches? I'm the king. Why? It legitimately made no sense. It would have made more sense for Sansa to become the queen.
and
You
the
know?
whole and them trying to scapegoat the whole breaking the wheel thing with like, oh, Brandon can't have kids, so therefore generational monarchies are dead. It's like that's not the wheel at
No.
all. It just again like it just made little sense, and it
The will
left.
is exactly a small council placing someone in power that they choose to lead because they trust them and not trusting the people to make the decision. That was the will, which is exactly what they did. You know?
I mean, I struggle to find positives from this episode, and it unfortunately makes this whole season just bad. Like it really does. Like I don't mind the long night episode. Like I feel like that's a decent battle scene, regardless of maybe my issues with Jon and the Night King not getting their moment. I love even the Bells episode. I think that's a great like horror destruction episode. Like that's on par with like the Towering Inferno or something like that. Like some epic destructive movie. Um, but this was just the worst landing possible. Like they could not have stuck the landing in a worse way. I, I'm at a loss for words here, Fook. I don't really know what else to say because the episode sucked. I still love Game of Thrones, but God, if when I go back and rewatch this show, I'm gonna stop at some point. Like I'm gonna go probably watch season 1 through 4, skip a lot of season 5, just watch Hard Home, and then skip season 6 and just watch Battle of the Bastards. That's all I'm gonna do.
Well, you know what's funny is when Jon died in season 5, I was like, I'm done with this show. And like, if I had been, I would be a lot less disappointed because there weren't a lot of great moments from that point. Like you said, there's only like maybe three,
One,
4 episodes that are. I mean, I would give a couple of episodes this season, like the one where they all talked around the fire. That was a great episode. If you take that out of the fact that the season sucked, that episode was good.
yeah.
And then maybe a couple episodes in season 7 you would rewatch again. I'd have to go back and really look. But then, like you said, the Battle of the Bastards. I mean, the show. What I hate is like, don't sell me on all of these storylines and then they never pay off. Like, don't. They cut what, 7 episodes,
Mm-hmm.
almost an entire season's worth of content.
Yep.
Where they could have done a better job making us believe things. They could have put more time into making you believe John and Danny really loved each other. That connection was never really there for me. It was like they're just sleeping together. And we've all just been sleeping with someone before. It's not a big deal. I mean,
That doesn't bother
right?
me too much because, hey, look, that's the second girl John slept with. Like, I would put in that context, man. Like, when you only get that much, it means the world to you. So I don't mind that. I just think again they rushed it. They they obviously didn't care. They obviously wanted to get out of this show and go on to bigger, better things, which I don't blame them innately. But God, then give the show to someone else. Like if you don't want to finish it the right way, give it to someone that will finish the right way.
And here's the thing. They just made Bran the fucking king. I'm sorry. Jamie fucking killed the Targaryen guy.
Man,
He didn't go take the fucking black because his family was in charge. Robert Baratheon was in charge, but still, like, fucking Cersei and them were in charge. Like, everyone knew it.
Well, I think
He's going to make Jon go take the black? Nobody stood up for him? If Sam didn't say one fucking word for Jon fighting this massive battle to save humanity?
again,
No one?
all they needed was a scene of Sansa going, when the Unsullied leave and the Dothraki leave, you can just come back. And Jon going, I don't want to.
Exactly.
That's all you need. That's
Yeah.
what, a minute scene, right?
But they made this big scene about, I'm sorry, it has to be this way. There was no other way. We have to keep the peace. Keep the peace. They're all fucking leaving. They're on boats. They're going somewhere else. Like, they don't care about Westeros. Like, how are you going to send Jon off? He saved the entire fucking humanity. Like, he went and got the army together.
Arya did.
Well, I understand, but he got everyone together.
The princess that was promised.
Yeah.
Put some respect on her name.
That again didn't pay off. We're gonna put in this like pale horse, make it look like she's the god, of death. Basically.
Green eyes.
She's
Where the
death,
green
right?
eyes come in? I'm still waiting for the green eyes.
Everyone's saying that's Peter Baelish now. That's how they're spinning that. Oh, she already did all those. She did the blue eyes. She did the brown eyes in the brothel or something, and then the green eyes Baelish or something. I'm like,
fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
I'm not buying it, guys. I miss like, don't sell me on things that you don't want to follow through on.
You know what's funny? I thought they were setting up Arya to kill her too. When Jon was going up to see her and he sees Arya, like Arya sneaks up on him, right? And even then, I'm thinking, oh, they're setting up the whole Arya being able to sneak up again. Like that's another setup, right? It's a lazy setup, but that's their way of setting it up. Nope. Jon just stabs her while they kiss.
Episode 2. Sansa and Arya. Family's everything, Jon. Don't forget your family. Oh, by the way, guys, yeah, I'm just going to go sell the world. I'll probably never see you guys again. Cool.
Jon goes and lives with the free folk and a wolf in the snow. Sansa's queen. Cool. Theon died.
Bran's at King's Landing. So they're all separated. Family's everything. Don't forget your family. Oh, but we just broke everybody up.
Yeah, but let's go to all different parts of the universe.
Hey, so many moments in the series that were supposed to be tied together through 7 and 8 just were left completely dismantled. Like at worst, just not tied up at all, or worse, fucking completely dismantled. Like characters just completely change character in the final fucking season.
I think they could have easily avoided this by having Drogon kill Jon.
Sure. He wouldn't have been able to though, right? Wasn't that what they were trying to portray there? Is that like Jon wouldn't have died from the fire because he's a Targaryen or something?
I don't care.
Yeah.
Drogon killed Jon. Bran is not king. Maybe Sansa is queen. But even then, probably not. I feel like you find someone else. Like, I feel like you put up a fucking puppet. Like, Robin Aaron might end up being king. Like, something stupid like that. Because that's what would happen in real life. All the really important people would put up some bumbling kid to be in charge, right? Like, that's how it would run. Sansa would still be independent in some way. And then Arya can go off being all depressed because her favorite brother died. And the show ends sad. Like, that's what they needed to do. Like, they didn't need a happy ending. I feel like they gave us a happy ending. And that's weird. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Because all the
They
Starks
could have
got...
killed them both. That would have been cool.
Who?
If they'd have killed them both, like Jon and Dany,
Yes.
like, you know?
Because that's something that Jon would do. He would kill the love of his life and then die to save everyone. That's exactly Jon's MO. But they avoided that to have him have a happy ending in some way. That was their attempt to have him have a happy ending. He didn't need that. That wasn't ever his walk in life. He already died. Have him die again. Fuck it. Who cares?
And he said multiple times he didn't even want to be brought back to life. He had no choice in it. You know? I thought they could have done a better job writing the ending by having them go into, like, if you guys really are upset about Dany dying and her vision of the world, like, they could have made a more impassioned speech for the democracy side of it and had some legitimate thing like that, because her thing was,
yeah, but they don't
no
give
more
a shit.
tyrants.
They don't give a shit about her. Like that was fine with me. Like that was actually one of the few things I was okay with. Because when Sam started talking, I'm like, please don't have this work. Like, this would just feel hollow in some way. And all these
democracy thing.
Yeah, because you think all these people in power are gonna voluntarily relinquish that? Foo.
No, they won't. I know.
Come on, in your inner Marxism. Come on here. That's just not how it flies here, man. The bourgeoisie did not give up to the proletariats. That's just not how it runs, man.
But then they just gave up the North, though.
Yeah, but that's because nepotism, man. Bran's king.
Yeah. And
Bran's
was
king.
like, nah, I want to fight my sister right now. She's fucking crazy.
And also, think about this. I would argue that still to this day, Jon's army is probably still combined the strongest army out there in the field right now. Lannister army just got fucked up. The Vale works for them. You know, who else is really out there with a sizable force to really combat Sansa and her wishes? No one. Maybe Yara, but not really. Euron just got a bunch of their people killed. But anyways, Fu, let's wrap this up, man. Because I'm hungry. It's late. I'm going to head out of here. Final thoughts, man. It's over. Game of Thrones. Until the prequels happen.
Ultimately, here's what I hope.
Which let's all admit here fully, we're all gonna watch, right? Like, I know we're all
everyone.
We're gonna bitch, but the second that shit's on, we're watching it. Just be honest.
Everyone's watching that. Here's what I hope. I hope that in a few years, after the prequels or possibly sequels, that somehow they come back and tell that story better. Somewhere. I don't know. Maybe they make a movie.
Like 30 years down the line.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, there's got to be a better way to fucking do season 8. We gave it... I feel like me and you were very kind to a lot of it.
Yes.
Hoping for something to really stick at the end.
We were the minority that liked most of the season, arguably.
I think everyone else knew. They were like, no, this shit's going bad. Like, this is going to end bad, you know? And we were just hoping. We were fanboying it up.
Oh, man. It happens, man. And look, like I said, it's a lot of good things in the season, but the ending of it really just puts a sour taste in all of it.
Yeah.
You know, and it also paints the things that were negatives in other episodes in a far harsher light, even more so. They become even bigger negatives and bigger drawbacks of the season, more so than they were, live, contemporaneously. But digressing, find me, Mount Hunter MCR, all platforms. Hit the like button to the show. Subscribe, patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. So we're going to find the rest of these Trending Now shows. Is the full show is going to be on Patreon exclusively. Might release snippets here and there. But they're going to be live Friday nights going forward. But anyways, Fu, let people know where to find you and final thoughts.
Bugatti MCR on all platforms. Final thoughts. Never let Benioff and Wise touch Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Star Wars, okay. That doesn't really matter. Anyways, peace.